Welcome back for another deep dive into myths. Last time we took on black cats and all the superstitions surrounding them.
Yeah, we really dug into that one.
We did, and today we're heading out into the cosmos to tackle eclipses.
Oh, yeah, eclipses, those celestial events that have fascinated and terrified people for, well, pretty much forever. I mean, imagine you're living in a time before science, and suddenly the sun just vanishes.
Spooky stuff. No wonder so many wild stories grew up around eclipses.
Oh, absolutely. Different cultures all around the world came up with their own explanations for what was going on. Like the ancient Chinese, they thought a giant dragon was trying to gobble up the sun.
A hungry dragon.
Yeah, and to scare it away, they'd make a huge racket banging on drums and pots and anything they could find.
I guess that makes sense. A noisy dragon is a scared dragon.
Right, and then in India, they had this myth about a demon called Rahu, whose severed head was chasing the sun and moon, trying to swallow them whole.
Okay, that's a little creepy.
Yeah, but the catch was he didn't have a body, so they'd pop right back out the other side of his head.
Ah, a cosmic escape act. But of course, nowadays we know better.
Exactly. We understand what's really going on during an eclipse.
So let's shed some light on the science behind these events. What's actually happening up there when the sun or moon seems to disappear?
Okay, well, first, you got to know there are two main types of eclipses, solar and lunar. A solar eclipse happens when the moon passes directly between the sun and the earth.
So basically, the moon is blocking the sun's light from reaching us.
Exactly, and that casts a shadow on parts of the earth. It's like the moon is playing hide and seek with the sun.
And we get to watch from down here.
Yep, and just like in hide and seek, where you sometimes only see part of the person hiding, there are different types of solar eclipses.
Okay, so tell me what makes them different.
It's all about how much of the sun is covered by the moon. Like, picture yourself standing right in the path of an eclipse. In a total solar eclipse, the moon completely covers the sun.
Wow, so everything goes dark.
Yeah. For a few incredible minutes, it's like nighttime in the middle of the day. It's a truly amazing thing to see.
No wonder people travel all over the world to catch eclipse. But what if you're not in that direct path?
Then you might see what's called a partial solar eclipse. That's when the moon only covers part of the sun.
So it's like the sun has a bite taken out of it.
Exactly. It can look pretty cool.
It does. And you mentioned one more type earlier, didn't you? Annular.
Yeah, an annular eclipse is kind of special. In this case, the moon is farther away in its orbit, so it looks a little smaller than the sun.
Okay.
So when it passes in front, it doesn't block out the whole sun. You get this bright ring of sunlight around the moon.
Like a ring of fire. Now, that's something I'd love to see.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. But okay, so we've covered solar eclipses. Now, what about lunar eclipses?
All right, let's talk about those. What's going on there?
Well, in this case, it's the Earth that's doing the blocking. We pass directly between the sun and the moon.
So instead of the moon blocking the sun, our planet's shadow falls on the moon.
You got it. And just like with solar eclipses, there are total lunar eclipses where the whole moon is covered.
And partial ones where only part of it is in shadow?
Right. It all depends on how perfectly those three, the sun, earth, and moon, line up.
So to have any type of eclipse, they all got to be in a straight line.
Pretty much. And here's the amazing thing. We can actually predict these alignments really accurately.
Wait, really? We can tell when eclipses will happen years, even decades, in advance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Scientists have it down to a science. They can calculate the exact time and place for eclipses far into the future.
It's incredible to think about how something that used to terrify ancient civilizations is now so predictable.
I know, right? It really shows how far we've come in understanding the universe. But, even with all this scientific knowledge, there are still some myths and misconceptions floating around about eclipses.
Oh yeah, some people still cling to those old beliefs.
Yeah, you'll hear stuff about eclipses harming pregnant women or bringing bad luck or being controlled by astrology and things like that.
It's wild how these beliefs stick around even with all the evidence against them. So let's set the record straight. Is there any truth to the idea that eclipses are harmful?
Nope, not at all. Zero scientific evidence to back up any of those claims. Eclipses are just natural events. They're caused by the regular movements of the sun, earth, and moon. Nothing to be afraid of.
So no need to hide indoors, skip meals, or worry about bad luck.
Exactly. Just relax and enjoy the show. It's a chance to experience the beauty and wonder of the universe.
Well said. And speaking of wonder, one thing I've always been curious about is how animals react during eclipses. I've heard they can act pretty strangely.
Oh, it's true. Animals are super sensitive to changes in their environment, and that sudden shift in light during an eclipse can really throw them off.
So they're not freaking out because of some mystical eclipse energy, right?
Nah, it's just biology at work. A lot of animals depend on sunlight for navigation, hunting, regulating their sleep cycles. So when the sun suddenly disappears or dims, it messes with their whole routine.
Makes sense. It's not magic, just good old-fashioned nature. And, it strikes me that we've gone from talking about myths and fear to talking about scientific breakthroughs and how everything in the universe is connected. That's a pretty amazing shift in perspective.
It really is. I think it shows the power of knowledge. Once you understand something, it stops being scary and becomes something you can explore and appreciate.
So instead of hiding indoors during the next eclipse, we should be grabbing our eclipse glasses and looking up at the sky, right?
Absolutely. Seeing a total solar eclipse is an experience you won't forget. It's a chance to connect with something so much bigger than ourselves and feel a sense of awe and wonder that's hard to find anywhere else.
And maybe even spark that curiosity that leads to the next big scientific discovery, right? Just like those eclipse observations that ended up confirming Einstein's theory.
Exactly. Who knows what secrets are still out there just waiting to be uncovered? The universe is full of them.
So before we wrap up this part of our dive into eclipses, what's the one thing you really want listeners to remember about these events?
I'd say the most important thing is to approach eclipses with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Don't let fear or those old myths keep you from experiencing the beauty and scientific importance of these events.
Well said. Eclipses remind us that we live in a vast and complex universe, full of incredible phenomena just waiting to be discovered. And speaking of discovery, in the next part of our deep dive, we'll be exploring some of the more unusual and fascinating types of eclipses that occur beyond our own planet. So stay tuned. Things are about to get even more cosmic.
Well, during a total solar eclipse, the moon blocks the sun's light, right? That lets us see stars that are normally hidden behind the glare.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
So Einstein predicted that the sun's gravity would actually bend the light coming from those distant stars, slightly shifting their apparent position. And during an eclipse, specifically the one in 1919, scientists were able to measure those tiny shifts, confirming Einstein's prediction. It was huge. It totally changed how we understood gravity.
That's mind-blowing. So eclipses weren't just proving what we knew about the sun and moon, they were unlocking secrets about the fundamental forces of the universe.
Exactly. And that scientific exploration is still going strong today. Every eclipse gives us another chance to learn more about the sun's corona.
The corona.
Yeah, that's the sun's incredibly hot outer atmosphere. We can only see it during totality when the sun's disk is completely blocked.
Oh, right. I've seen pictures. It looks kind of like these wispy, ethereal tendrils reaching out from the sun. Pretty cool stuff.
Definitely. And it's not just about pretty pictures. The corona holds clues about solar flares and coronal mass ejections.
Those are those massive bursts of energy from the sun, right? The ones that can mess with satellites and even cause problems with power grids here on Earth.
Yep, those are the ones. So if we can understand the corona better, we might be able to predict and prepare for those events. We could potentially protect our technology from some serious damage.
That's incredible. So eclipses are helping us look outwards toward the sun, but you also mentioned that they can help us look inwards at our own atmosphere. What did you mean by that?
Well, think about what happens during a total solar eclipse. You get this sudden drop in sunlight, right? And that causes changes in temperature and air pressure. Scientists can study those changes to learn more about the different layers of our atmosphere.
Oh, see, like how those layers interact with each other.
Exactly. It's amazing how something as simple as the moon passing in front of the sun can give us so much information.
I know, right? It tells us about the vastness of space and the details of our own planet.
It really highlights how interconnected everything is, you know? From the tiniest atom to the biggest star, it's all connected.
It's funny, we started this whole conversation talking about myth and fear, and now we're talking about scientific breakthroughs and the interconnectedness of the universe. What a journey.
It's a testament to the power of knowledge, isn't it? Once we understand something, we don't have to be afraid of it anymore. We can appreciate it for what it is.
So the next time there's an eclipse, instead of hiding inside, we should grab our eclipse glasses and head outside for the show.
Exactly. Witnessing a total solar eclipse is something everyone should experience. It's a chance to connect with something so much bigger than ourselves, to feel awe and wonder that's hard to find anywhere else.
And hey, maybe it'll even spark some curiosity that leads to the next big scientific discovery, just like those observations that confirmed Einstein's theory.
You never know. There are still so many secrets out there waiting to be uncovered.
Well, before we move on from this part of our deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember about eclipses?
I think the most important thing is to approach these events with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Don't let fear or those old myths hold you back from experiencing the beauty and the scientific significance of eclipses. They're amazing events.
Well said. Eclipses remind us that we live in this incredible universe full of amazing things just waiting to be discovered. And speaking of discovery, in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to be heading beyond Earth to explore some of the more unusual and fascinating types of eclipses that happen out there in the vastness of space. Stay tuned because things are about to get even more cosmic. Welcome back to Myth Uncovered. We've been talking about all things eclipses, from the ancient myths to the modern science.
Yeah, and how those eclipses actually helped us confirm some pretty groundbreaking theories, like Einstein's theory of relativity.
It's wild to think something as simple as a shadow can unlock so many secrets about the universe.
It really is. And As promised, we're going to take our exploration beyond Earth today.
Beyond Earth.
Yeah, we're going to dive into some truly unusual eclipses that occur out there in the vast expanse of
Oh,
space.
honey, now this is getting exciting. What kind of eclipses are we talking about?
Well, imagine a world where you could experience multiple eclipses in a single day.
Multiple eclipses. Every day.
Yeah, that's the reality on Jupiter.
Jupiter, the giant planet.
That's the one. You see, Jupiter has like 79 moons, and many of them are big enough to cast shadows on the planet.
Hold on, 79 moons?
Yep, 79, and they all orbit Jupiter at different speeds and angles, so those shadows are constantly crisscrossing the planet's surface.
So it's like a never-ending eclipse show.
Pretty much, and some of those eclipses are truly spectacular. Like, imagine a triple eclipse.
The triple eclipse.
Yeah, three of Jupiter's biggest moons, Io, Europa, and Ganymede, all casting their shadows on the planet at the same time.
Wow, that would be amazing to see.
Right, our little Earth eclipses seem pretty tame in comparison. And it's not just the gas giants that have unique eclipse experiences. Saturn, with its rings, also puts on quite a show.
Oh yeah, Saturn's rings. I bet those make for some pretty interesting eclipses. How does that work?
Well, imagine you're on one of Saturn's moons, looking back at the planet. As the sun passes behind Saturn, the planet's shadow falls on the rings.
So you're seeing an eclipse of the rings themselves.
Exactly. It creates a stunning silhouette, and sometimes it gets even cooler. The rings themselves can actually eclipse the sun, casting thin, wavering shadows on Saturn's cloud tops.
Wow, so many different ways for eclipses to happen. It really opens your mind to the possibility out there in the universe.
It does, and these extraterrestrial eclipses are more than just pretty sights.
Oh, right. They tell us stuff about the universe, too.
Yeah, they give scientists valuable data about the planets, their moons, even the composition of their atmospheres.
So it's like those eclipses here on Earth. They're not just spectacles, they're tools for scientific discovery.
Exactly. Each eclipse, whether it happens here or on a distant world, helps us deepen our understanding of the universe.
Well, I think this has been a pretty amazing journey. We've gone from ancient myths and fears to the latest scientific discoveries, and even beyond our own planet to explore eclipses in other parts of the solar system.
It really shows the power of human curiosity, our desire to understand the universe around us.
Well said. So the next time you hear about an eclipse, whether it's happening in our own sky or on a distant world, remember that it's more than just a shadow. It's an invitation to explore and question and marvel at the wonders of the cosmos.
Keep looking up and stay curious.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of eclipses. Thanks for joining us on Myths Uncovered. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop learning.